Level 1. Unlocking evolutions. When evolution cards first showed up in Clash Royale, everyone had one question: how do you even get these things? It wasn't just another update, it was a full shift in how players collected and leveled up cards. The first time you saw an evolved barbarian or evolved firecracker, you probably thought you were watching a different game entirely. These cards looked cooler, hit harder, and made old strategies feel brand new again. To unlock an evolution, you first need to own the base version of that card. For example, if you want evolved skeletons, you must already have the regular skeletons unlocked. Then you'll need evolution shards, the key to turning ordinary cards into their stronger forms. These shards can be earned through events, Pass Royale rewards, or special challenges. Shards also appear in level up chests and magic items from events. Sometimes they even pop up in free rewards, which always feels like a lucky day. Once you gather enough shards for a specific card, you can start evolving it. This process feels a bit like discovering a hidden level in the game. You're not just upgrading stats, you're unlocking new mechanics that change how a match plays out. The moment you evolve your first card, the difference is clear. Suddenly your skeletons don't just distract, they hit back. Your barbarians feel like mini tanks. Even the weakest cards can become game changers. But unlocking an evolution isn't only about power, it's about timing. Starting at level 7, you can already have one evolution slot, but higher level players can now equip 2. If your deck leans toward defense, the evolved cannon might fit better. If you prefer fast cycle decks, evolved skeletons can give you more control. Every player ends up with their favorite because each evolution shines in a different way. When the evolution system launched, it gave old cards a second life. Cards that were ignored suddenly became the stars of entire decks. Players who had stuck to the same decks for years now had a reason to experiment again. The game started to feel fresh and creative. Unlocking evolutions is more than collecting. It's about upgrading your experience, exploring new playstyles, and watching your favorite troops grow into something stronger. The grind for shards might take time, but when you finally unlock one evolution and drop it in your first match, it's pure satisfaction. That moment reminds you why Clash Royale keeps evolving and why players never really leave. Level 2, evolution shards and upgrading. If evolutions are the stars of Clash Royale's new era, then evolution shards are the VIP passes that get you in. You can't talk about evolutions without mentioning these shiny little fragments because they decide how fast you grow and how strong your deck becomes. Evolution shards are basically the new currency of progress, and every player wants them. You earn shards from multiple places. Events and challenges are the most common sources because they usually give you a steady flow of rewards if you play consistently. Special events that reward evolution fragments also help, which means even free-to-play players can slowly build up their collection without spending a dime. And if you have Pass Royale, your chances of getting shards increase a lot since it includes exclusive rewards. Each evolution card needs its specific shard type. You can't use skeleton shards for barbarians or mix them around. However, there are wild shards, a special item that can be used on any evolution you want. Wild shards can be obtained from shop offers, the last step of the free side of Pass Royale, and legendary lucky drops, but they have a maximum inventory limit of 6, and only one shard is used at a time. Even with wild shards available, the smart move is still to focus on one evolution at a time. Players who try to spread shards across too many cards often end up with half-evolved troops that don't shine in battle. Pick one evolution, focus all your shards there, including your wild shards if needed, and unlock it completely before moving on to the next. When it comes to upgrading, the process feels familiar but with a twist. You still need your card at the required level, but the addition of shards makes it more personal. It's like you're customizing your own troop's destiny. Every shard you collect takes you one step closer to unlocking a new ability. After gathering all the required shards, your card evolution is ready to use. When you finally see it in action for the first time, it feels earned. Supercell also balanced shard distribution to keep things fair. They made sure challenges and free rewards give enough progress over time so that casual players can still unlock evolutions without feeling left behind. That balance is what makes the system work. It's challenging but fair. Upgrading your first evolution is one of those moments you don't forget easily. You go from playing with regular troops to watching them transform mid-match into something way stronger. It's not just about stats either. Each evolution adds flavor, whether it's the evolved firecrackers' explosive range or the evolved barbarians' insane durability. The more you collect and upgrade, the more creative your decks become. Suddenly you start thinking differently about card interactions. You realize some evolutions fit better with fast decks while others dominate in control-heavy setups. Evolution shards and upgrading make the whole experience feel alive, like you're leveling up alongside your cards. In the end, it's not just about power, it's about growth and patience. Every shard is progress, and every upgrade feels like a reward for sticking with your strategy. That's what makes the new evolution system feel so satisfying. It gives players a clear path forward while keeping the fun and grind balanced. Level 3. Deck synergy with evolutions. Once you have unlocked and upgraded your evolved cards, the next big question is how to fit them into your deck. This is where most players either start dominating or struggle to find balance. Evolved cards are powerful, but they are not automatic win buttons. You still need synergy, which means making sure every card in your deck complements the others instead of clashing with them. Synergy in Clash Royale is basically teamwork. Every card should have a role and should work with the others toward a single goal, whether that is defense, chip damage, or full push pressure. When you add an evolved card, you are changing that teamwork because evolved cards usually have stronger effects, faster attacks, or completely new abilities. That means your old strategies might not fit perfectly anymore. Let's use the evolved Firecracker as an example. She deals more consistent splash damage and can survive longer, so pairing her with cards like Valkyrie or Knight creates a solid defensive wall. The Valkyrie tanks hits while the Firecracker clears the field from behind. Now if you combine her with a card like Hog Rider, she helps clear swarms that usually stop your hog. That is synergy in action. But if you try to mix her with cards that already serve the same purpose, like Wizard or Archers, you might end up wasting elixir on overlapping roles. When building synergy, balance is everything. A good evolved deck usually has one win condition, 1 or 2 support cards, a spell for control, a defensive building, and at least one cheap cycle card. The evolved card should fit naturally into that setup. If you evolve a card that becomes too expensive or heavy, you need to adjust the rest of your deck to avoid being stuck without elixir. Evolved cards also tend to shift the way decks play. For instance, the evolved Royal Giant became a more aggressive win condition that can pressure towers faster, which means players started adding cheaper support troops to keep up with his speed. On the other hand, the evolved skeletons became great for defense and quick cycling, which made them perfect for decks that rely on fast rotations, like Hog Cycle. Understanding this balance between offense and defense is what turns an average deck into a strong one. Another thing to remember is that synergy changes with the meta. After each update, Supercell adjusts stats and rebalances evolutions, which means that your perfect deck today might not work tomorrow. That is why pro players constantly test new combinations. They look for cards that benefit from the current trends. If air decks are popular, they run evolved Lumberjack or Archers. If tanks dominate, they add evolved P.E.K.K.A. or Knight. Staying flexible keeps your deck strong no matter the season. To build the best synergy, always test your deck in friendly battles or casual modes before jumping into ranked play. That way, you can see how your evolved card fits in real matches. You will learn when to use its ability, what pairs well with it, and what counters it. Do not just copy a deck online without understanding how it flows. Even the strongest deck can fall apart if you do not understand the rhythm of elixir trades. Finally, synergy is also about your playstyle. If you prefer slow and controlled matches, cards like Evolved Royal Giant or Evolved Goblin Giant fit well. If you like fast-paced attacks, try Evolved Goblin Barrel or Evolved Baby Dragon. The beauty of evolutions is that they make every deck feel more personal. You can build something that matches how you like to play instead of just following trends. When your deck has true synergy with evolutions, every card feels useful, every push feels planned, and every victory feels earned. That is the magic of evolution decks. They reward creativity, timing, and understanding. The stronger your synergy, the more unstoppable your deck becomes. Level 4. Meta shifts after each update. If there's one thing every Clash Royale player has learned over the years, it's that the meta never stays still. One update, and suddenly your favorite deck that carried you for weeks feels weak overnight. Evolutions took that chaos to another level. Each update since their release has shaken the entire balance of the game, creating a wave of new strategies and forgotten wins crawling back into the spotlight. When Evolutions first dropped, the meta went wild. Everyone wanted to test their shiny new cards, and it honestly felt like the Wild West. The evolved Firecracker and Royal Giant dominated early on. People couldn't stop using them because they were strong, easy to use, and worked in almost any deck. The first few weeks after launch felt like every match was a mirror match. But that's what happens whenever the game introduces something new. Players always push it to the limit to see how far it can go. Then, the balance changes rolled in and things started to settle. Supercell watched how players used the cards and adjusted the numbers. A few cards that once looked unstoppable got toned down a little, and suddenly, new decks started showing up. This is where the real meta shifts began. People realized evolutions weren't just about brute force, they were about timing and placement. A great example was the evolved skeletons. When they first appeared, everyone saw them as just another cycle card. But after a few pros figured out how to use them in fast cycle decks, they became one of the most versatile cards in the game. They could stop pushes, defend against ground units, and even start counterattacks. After that discovery, the entire tempo of mid-ladder changed. Every update since then has kept things fresh. One small tweak to an evolution can change everything. When the evolved Firecracker got its minor nerf, people thought she was done, but she remained in the meta because players learned to use her smarter instead of just spamming her behind towers. That's what makes Clash Royale so interesting right now. The game rewards adaptation. Evolutions also made older cards relevant again. Cards like the Knight or Archers were once seen as basic or boring, but their evolved versions brought them back to life. Each new patch brings fresh energy and players love experimenting. 1 month, you'll see a ton of giant decks running evolved support cards. Then, a few weeks later, cycle decks make a comeback because of new elixir adjustments. The coolest part about these shifts is how they teach players to think differently. You can't just rely on what worked last season. You have to keep learning, testing, and adapting. The best players aren't the ones with the highest level cards, they are the ones who figure out the new rhythm fastest. Another big thing that changed with each update is how defense works. Before evolutions, defense was mostly about buildings and spells. Now with evolved troops having more health or extra abilities, players have more creative ways to defend. A single evolved Electro Dragon can stall massive pushes on their own, which changes how people spend their elixir. If there's one word to describe the Clash Royale meta now, it's dynamic. Nothing stays dominant for long. The updates keep shaking the board, and evolutions make that shake even stronger. You can go from struggling 1 week to climbing trophies the next just because of one smart deck change. So every time an update drops, don't panic, treat it like a reset. Watch what the pros are playing, experiment with your favorite evolution cards, and find your own groove. The meta will keep shifting, but if you stay flexible, you'll always find a way to win. That's the beauty of Clash Royale right now. Level 5. Countering evolved cards. Every time a new evolution drops, Clash Royale feels like a fresh puzzle. Players rush to use their new toy while everyone else scrambles to find a way to stop it. It's like showing up to class and realizing there's a surprise test. Countering evolved cards isn't just about reacting fast, it's about understanding how they work and playing smarter than your opponent. Each evolved troop comes with something that makes it extra scary. The evolved hunter can immobilize enemies with a net that even pulls flying troops to the ground. The evolved executioner's axe deals devastating close-range damage with knockback, pushing back incoming threats. The evolved royal ghost summons 2 soldiers with each attack during his invisible state, creating an army of spectral fighters that overwhelm opponents. The trick is not to panic, but to break down what makes them strong and use that against them. Let's start with timing. Evolved cards often rely on their ability activating at the right moment. If you can bait it early, you've already won half the battle. For example, if your opponent drops an evolved skeleton card, you can play a light spell or a small troop to trigger its effect before committing your main push. That way, when you go in with your win condition, their evolution has already lost its spark. Placement also matters more than ever. If you're facing an evolved Mega Knight, strategic troop placement can turn the tide completely. You can bait his jump to activate your King's Tower by placing an Ice Spirit at just the right moment, 4 tiles from the King's Tower, and 1 tile into his lane. When timed perfectly, this redirects his devastating jump ability, activating your King's Tower and giving you extra firepower to defend for the entire match. Another thing most players forget is elixir efficiency. Evolved cards look powerful, but they are usually expensive or need setup time. You can take advantage of that by playing faster cycle decks. If your opponent invests 6 or 7 elixir in one push and you defend cleanly with 3, you've already gained control. Over time, that adds up and you'll find yourself leading without even taking a tower yet. Spells are your best friends in this meta. Fireball, lightning, and even poison can shut down evolved support troops before they build momentum. The key is to get value. Don't throw a fireball just to chip a single troop. Wait until you can hit both the evolved unit and another card. That's how you keep your trades even. Some cards have turned into secret counters. Fisherman, for example, can pull evolved tanks like the P.E.K.K.A. or Battle Ram out of range, disrupting their push and buying you precious time. Tornado also shines when used with splash units like Baby Dragon or Executioner. If you can pull evolved troops together, they lose their spacing advantage and take maximum damage. Then there's the mental side of things. Players love showing off their evolutions, so they often overcommit trying to make them work. If you stay calm and defend efficiently, you'll notice they burn all their elixir in one big showy push. That's when you strike back on the opposite lane. Even if your tower takes a few hits, the counter push usually wins the match. The biggest lesson with countering evolved cards is patience. You can't panic when you see that purple glow. Wait for the right time, defend smart, and hit back when your opponent least expects it. Once you learn their rhythm, you'll realize every evolution has a weakness waiting to be exposed. The best players don't fear evolutions, they dissect them. They watch replays, memorize timings, and test different counters until they find what works. It's not about having the best evolutions, it's about playing with awareness. So the next time you face an evolved card that seems unbeatable, take a deep breath and remember, every shiny new troop has a soft spot. You just have to find it and turn their evolution into your win condition. Level 6. Evolution Specific Strategies. Every evolution in Clash Royale changes how the game feels. It's not just stronger cards, but whole new playstyles that can flip matchups you thought you already mastered. Once you understand how each evolution works, you stop reacting and start controlling the flow of the match. This level is all about turning those evolutions into your personal weapons. Let's start with the Evolved Skeleton Army. A skeleton general spawns alongside the 15 skeletons, and here's where it gets interesting. When the skeletons die, they don't actually disappear, instead they become invisible and invincible, continuing to attack until the general is eliminated. The general himself has a shield with a skeleton's worth of health. This means protecting the general is everything. Use them defensively against threats like Mini P.E.K.K.A. or Hog Rider, and they'll shred through them. On offense, take advantage when your opponent wastes their spell incorrectly, then drop them with ranged support like archers or firecracker. That invisible swarm will be unstoppable. Next up are the Evolved Barbarians. These guys walk out with shields like they own the arena. They're slow, but if you protect them, they'll clear anything. Pair them with a ranged support card like Magic Archer, and you'll get one of the strongest defensive setups in the game. You can even split them in the back to apply pressure in both lanes. They force your opponent to commit early because if those shielded barbarians cross the bridge, untouched, your tower is gone. The Evolved Witch deserves a whole paragraph because she's one of the most resilient evolutions in the game. Her healing mechanic triggers every time one of her skeletons dies, restoring her hit points and even allowing her to overheal up to 124% of her max health. This makes her incredibly tanky in prolonged fights. Pair her with a meat shield like Giant or Golem, and she becomes nearly unkillable, constantly regenerating while spawning skeletons. She survives spell combinations that would normally eliminate support troops, and her sustained presence forces opponents into awkward elixir trades. She's perfect for decks that need a durable support unit that can outlast multiple defensive waves. Then, there's the Evolved Firecracker. She's super annoying, but also insanely good in control decks. Her shots leave sparks on the ground that keep damaging troops and slowing them down. It's like turning the arena into a danger zone. The trick is giving her space. Don't crowd her near your tower or other troops. Keep her back so she can keep firing without getting hit by splash damage. When she sticks around long enough, she carries your whole defense, making it almost impossible for pushes to get through all those slowing sparks everywhere. The Goblin Barrel evolution changed how people see spell bait completely. Evolved Goblin Barrel spawns 2 barrels with identical appearances where the fake one glows for 1 second and their placements mirror each other in their respective lanes. The barrel you deploy has 3 normal goblins, while the fake one contains 3 decoy goblins with way less health. This mind game is insane in bait decks, especially when your opponent has to guess which barrel is real or waste spell on both. The change gave bait decks a whole new level of outplay potential and made Goblin Barrel players feel unstoppable again in spell-heavy metas. The Evolved Wall Breakers are another story entirely. Their explosion damage can delete defensive buildings. You can pair them with cards like Miner or Ice Spirit for perfect pressure cycles. Even if they get countered, they still trade evenly thanks to the explosion radius. The key is to keep rotating fast so your opponent can't keep up with your cycle. Finally, know when to mix evolutions together. Imagine pairing Evolved Skeleton Army on defense with an Evolved Witch for the counter push. The synergy creates unstoppable pressure that forces your opponent to panic. Each evolution shines on its own, but when you blend them with smart timing and balanced elixir management, the match feels entirely in your control. Evolutions aren't meant to be used randomly. Every card has its moment. Mastering that timing is what separates casual players from the ones who climb. You don't have to unlock every evolution to win. You just need to understand how to use the ones you have in the smartest way possible. If you treat each evolution like a tool instead of a trophy, you'll start seeing the real magic. That's when your deck stops being a mix of cards and starts feeling like a strategy built to dominate every matchup. Level 7, the future of evolutions. If there's one thing Clash Royale has proven, it's that the game never stops changing. Evolutions might just be the biggest thing to happen since Champions dropped. They didn't just refresh the game, they redefined it. Now every card feels like it could be hiding a secret upgrade waiting to be unleashed, and that's what makes the future of Evolutions so exciting. Supercell clearly isn't treating Evolutions like a temporary experiment. From every official post and roadmap update, it's obvious they're planning years ahead. They want this system to be permanent and central to how Clash Royale grows. Think about it. Every time a new evolution drops, old cards suddenly feel brand new again. Skeletons went from disposable to dangerous, barbarians turned into walking tanks, Firecracker became the queen of splash damage. The game feels alive because of it. What makes Evolution special is that they bring life to forgotten cards. Instead of always buffing or nerfing the same few cards, Supercell now gives older ones a full makeover. That means more deck variety, more creativity, and a more balanced meta over time. It's like watching your childhood favorites glow up and become relevant again. Players love that kind of nostalgia mixed with new power. Looking at the way Supercell has paced the releases, we can kind of predict what's coming. They've been introducing evolutions in small batches, usually tied to updates or seasonal events. That keeps things fair because the devs need time to test balance and make sure no single evolution completely breaks the meta. But imagine the future when almost every card has its own evolution. Deck building will feel limitless. Players will be mixing evolved forms like puzzle pieces, each one creating a brand new playstyle. There's also a lot of talk in the community about double path evolutions. Picture this. Instead of one evolution per card, you could choose between two options. For example, an offensive version of the knight that deals more damage, or a defensive one that's tankier. That kind of flexibility would change everything. It would make decks feel more personal and unique instead of everyone copying the same combos. Many players speculate that Supercell could also start experimenting with event-based evolutions. Maybe during special seasons or holidays, players could unlock limited-time evolutions with new effects or visuals. Imagine a Halloween skeleton evolution that glows or explodes into ghostly flames. Those kinds of ideas would keep even casual players hooked because they make the game feel fresh every few weeks. Evolutions are also changing how players think about progression. Before, this system leveling up was just about stats. Now, there's emotion in it. You don't just power up a card, you transform it. It looks different, it fights differently, and it feels earned. That sense of achievement is what keeps players logging in daily grinding shards and testing new decks. If we look further ahead, the evolution system will likely keep expanding, with even more troops getting their own upgrades. Supercell has already brought evolutions to buildings and spells, showing they're committed to making every card type feel fresh and exciting. We might see evolutions for cards that haven't gotten much attention lately. Given how creative Supercell has been with the system so far, the possibilities feel endless, and the game keeps getting more unpredictable with every update. The future of evolutions isn't just about stronger cards. It's about giving players control, creativity, and long-term goals. Every new update adds more depth to a game that's already has a stronger foundation. That's why Clash Royale has lasted this long. It evolves with its players literally. So yeah, the next few years of Clash Royale are going to be wild. Evolutions are here to stay, and they'll keep shaping how we play, watch, and think about the game. The best part is, we're just at the beginning. Drop a comment about what you want to see next in the 7 levels format, and subscribe for more content like this.